Much, Randy. Right back to our callers. Next up is Dan in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Hank. How are you?
Doing good.
Good. The question I had is, in a conversation with a pastor, a comment was made that, I know someone who's been quite injured and gone through a lot of medical things, and he made the comment, well, maybe, she's still praying and trying to understand why God allowed this. And the comment back to me was, well, God doesn't allow anything. He causes it. He causes everything. And he took the position that to say that God allows something is wrong. And I'm just wondering what your take would be on, does God allow things? And also, he went further to back up his comment that God causes everything scripturally by saying, you know it pretty well, God causes everything to work together for good to those who love him. Don't know if that's perfect. But anyway, and in my opinion, he took that way out of context because it wasn't saying God causes everything. It was in the context of the whole verse. So,
well,
what are your opinion on that?
Yeah, here's the way to think about this. It is correct and right to say that God created the potential for evil. It is incorrect and unbiblical to say that God is the author of evil. When I say God creates the potential of evil, I say that because God created people in such a way that they could choose to love him and serve him and worship him or reject him and dishonor him.
Right.
So because God created people as volitional beings, people who had will and choice, he created the potential for evil. We actualize that evil by our choices, and as a result of that, we now live in a fallen world. And in a fallen world, people experience death, mourning, crying, pain, disease, destruction, decay, and even death. That is part and parcel of a fallen world. Again, because we actualized evil. But God, in his omnipotence and his omniscience and his love and grace and mercy, also provides a way to be reconciled with him and to have the best of all possible worlds, a world in which there is no more disease, destruction, or death, or decay. So God has made a way for us to be reconciled to him so that paradise lost can again be paradise restored. So in God's infinite wisdom and mercy, he allows for everything to be restored. So we never say that Christianity gives us a peaceful way to come to terms with the difficulties of life. It doesn't. In this life, you're going to have trouble, but it gives us something far better, a way to overcome it through the promise of resurrection.
Oh, yeah, I totally understand that. The question was, though, this person's praying to try to understand why God allowed them to get in this car accident.
No, but it's the function of living in a fallen world. If God is the predetermining causal agent of all situations, he becomes the author of evil. And not only that, but there's no substantial distinction then between God being the author of evil and God being in fact evil. So to say that God is the author of evil would be evil and unbiblical. Instead, we should say, on the basis of Scripture, that God created the potential for evil by giving human beings freedom of choice. And therefore, in this fallen world, you will experience difficult circumstances. It's a function of living in a fallen world.
Okay, so I think we're on the same page, but what kind of gnaws at me a little bit is the comment that, okay, just take this person was in an unexpected accident. The question, I think the literal question that was on the table, or the comment that was on the table was, he said that God caused that injury.
No, I'm saying that's not right. I'm saying that this is the function of living in a fallen world. I mean, when I decided to have kids, I knew that they would experience pain and hurt and even death, and yet I decided to have kids. Now, when they experience pain and hurt and death, I think it's unfair for someone to say that I was the causal agent of that.
Right.
I know that they're born into a fallen world, and I know as a result of that, they're going to suffer. That's part of the human condition.